Hi everyone, I'm TechRaz. We all know how tedious it is to perform the literature review. SynthScholar is a multi-agent system that automates this process of conducting literature review. You just have to provide the input criteria like the inclusion, exclusion criteria, and it does the thing. I'm not going to talk about all the features that SynthScholar provide, which you can check in our GitHub repo, and also the installation process and things that you need. But what I am going to do today is to walk you through the output of the SynthScholar and how you can use SynthScholar in the BrainKV platform, which we have integrated. I just want to note that you can use the SynthScholar as an independent application, or you can also integrate it to your platform. You don't have to use BrainKV platform. Let's start with the output of the SynthScholar. This is the output generated by the SynthScholar. You can see it has created the structure abstract, generated introduction, and just note the sectioning. This is based on the appraisal questions that you can configure and ask. Now you can see the different research questions that was asked and the search strategy, search keywords that it used to perform the search in PubMed and across different provider like bioRxiv, arXiv, medRxiv. And you see we also have the PRISMA flow. Like initially it started with 456 articles. I mean those were the number of articles that were identified, and at the end only 142 were included for the synthesis, similar to how we do. We'd scan, we'd initially start with the search keyword, look into abstract, basically do the screening, and that's what SynthScholar did, and finally use 142 out of those 456 which were initially identified as a suitable candidate. You can see all the articles that were included, and you can also see the risk of bias assessment, which is a unique features that SynthScholar provide. You can learn all about risk of bias assessment. There are literatures about it, which I'm not going to talk about it today. And let's scroll a bit. And you see we have the synthesis result, characteristics, some more output. You see the organization. Theme 6 is about anxiety and vocal specific anxiety-specific vocal biomarker. If you see theme 4, it's different. Theme 5, it's different. And here we have the summary of risk of bias assessment, why certain papers were flagged as high risk of bias, in high risk of bias category, and why some were low. And we also have some gaps and future directions, some claims for each of the papers that were included, and the evidence, some evidence for that specific claims, how it was supported, and the strength of evidence. And if there are any contradictions, that also you can see it here. Right here more about the output, and this is all about grade assessment, those bias assessment, and we have conclusions and finally reference. Now let's see some more. Okay, this is one that we just now let's see the other one. Now here we see we have different output, right? Even the structure, it varies. This varies because of the input configuration, which we'll see in a bit. What I meant to say is that depending on the questions that you might want to answer first, or the charting questions, the output might vary. The other important thing about the SynthScholar is the provenance. We track everything from the search strategy, like you see 8 approved search queries, meaning that we have human in the loop component. When the search string are generated, you have to approve it. You can also update it. Once you approve, then the search process begins. The rest of the process are automated. And here you can also see the trail of like the logs of the SynthScholar run. That's all about the output. You can also export. No, remember, this is the public view. Now, if you want to use the SynthScholar, you just need to sign in, go to the dashboard, and here's the SynthScholar. By default, it's not available to everyone. If you want to use SynthScholar, just email me at techrals@mit.edu and I can enable access. If you want to start new literature review, you just click start new. Here are some of the examples that you can click and it will automatically fill out the details. There are 3 different variants so that you can see what are different kinds of input that you can provide. You can also run in the compare mode. Let's look into 2. There are 2 of those. So you see the CRISP therapies. It's a basic one. You just provide title, some population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. That's coming from the PICO framework, inclusion, exclusion criteria, and databases that we want to search. If there are any registration, these are more from the life science and risk of bias assessment. These are the default charting questions. And based on this, your output might vary. You can also have run configuration if you want specific things to be answered. And that's what you see here. And run configuration, you can either run using single models or run in the compare mode. You can see you can run multiple models at a time and you can see the output side by side. You have to remember that if running in the compare mode is costly. And the other thing is enable cache, extract data and charting and appraisal phases, and pause me to review the search strategy before running. So if you enable cache, that means the output will be shared to others as well. When you rerun it again, and it will first look into cache. If there's something available, it will reuse that, else it will perform it from the scratch. And these are all about whether you want to run the data charting and appraisal. Basically, if you want answer to those questions that we just saw here, those group analysis and the other charting questions. If you do not want to have human intervention, even for the search query, you can just uncheck it, and that's it. Now let's look into the other one. This is more detailed one. You can see it has more details. And I'm not going to go into details about each of these. You can log into the portal when you have access to it and just see the details because those are the default examples. You see here, charting questions, group analysis, It's organized by depression, anxiety, and that's why you see the output in particular format. And also, it's very detailed. Now, I'm sure you must have noticed this. No open router key found. So there are two ways you can use it. One, either admin or I set the key for everyone to use. That means you don't have to provide API key. The other way is for you to provide the open router key. You can go back to dashboard, API key, you can set your key here, and then you can use the tool. The API key that you set is for yourself. It will not be shared with others. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to run the review now because it takes time. And you see here you have we have failed running, like failed runs as well. We also have the features to resume the run. Like you can start from full, from catch, or fresh source. If it fails at a certain stage, you can also resume from that particular stage. And you see, you can export in all kinds of formats. Sorting JSON, appraisal, narrative, rubric. So what I'm trying to say is you have more options than in the public view. You see, by default, it's not shared publicly. If you remove this check, this means those reviews will not be available here in the public reviews. That will be only available for you. That's all about SynthScholar. Thank you.